With us today, we have Lucy Martinez, who's also a damage prevention manager in the north. We have Brian McKenzie, who is our Central Illinois damage prevention manager, and our most famous Roger Watwood, who's in Southern Illinois as a damage prevention manager. We also have a couple of other folks on with us today monitoring the webinar, and it's Paula Browning, who does a lot of our remote ticket entry and member services issues. Amy Chimura, who happens to be the 4 damage prevention managers boss, as well as Vicky, who is on with us. She's anonymous, but she puts together a lot of these presentations for us and also helps manage the website and fun stuff like that. So you basically have the entire education team, as well as Paula through member services on with us today. So with that panel, we will be able to answer all of your questions. We hope to have this done within an hour and be out of it. We are happy to stay on longer if the questions require, but we do not expect the attendees to hang out unless you really want to. So again, this is being recorded, just so you're aware of that. And a couple things right off the bat. We're going to be going through different codes that the positive response system are going to require, and that you may see whether you're an excavator, as a private individual, a member company, and then of course the members themselves who have to put these codes on the system as we work through the process. Each one of us are going to cover different aspects of the positive response systems we'll go through. At the end, there's going to be links and a QR code and all that. Everything that we discussed today is available already on the website. But again, if you have questions, please type them into the, we want that in the chat, correct?
Q&A or chat's fine.
Okay, Q&A or chat, either one. Type them in there, and then we will have one of us will be monitoring those and replying online to the ones that make sense, but we may have some that will hold and actually go through verbally, so to make sure everybody's on the same sheet of music with that. So with that, we're going to get right into this. Real quick though, this year is going to be a hybrid year. What do I mean by that? We are going to be opening up the positive response system later in the summer, and meaning that some of our member companies may choose day one to utilize the positive response system, as opposed to current history of either driving to the site, putting okay, or emailing or calling you, or whatever the case may be. So we encourage the excavating side of the world to check that positive response site before you decide you want to call in a no-show, for instance. Some of our members are still going to drive out there, put that okay. Some are going to clear it on the system. So it's going to be a bit of a hybrid year this year. In January 1st of 2026, all members notified on a Julie locate request are required to close that ticket out on our servers, whether they marked or cleared it. And you'll see today there's multiple other codes available, but those are going to be the 2 predominant codes used, marked and cleared. So starting January 26th, that's how you're going to be getting communication from the member companies, is via the positive response system. So we highly encourage you, provide a good email address. If you don't have email, then by law, you will have to go on the internet and check the status of your ticket before you excavate. And that's, again, starting January 2026. So with that, Brian, we already have a chat. Is there something we should be looking at already?
That's just Amy putting in information.
Oh, Amy putting information in there. See, surprising me here. Okay. So with that, Brian, take it away. Let's see if I can get over there and get that thing working. Back up. There we go.
Here we go. Again, good morning, everyone. Brian McKenzie here, Damage Prevention Manager for Central Illinois. I am going to be talking to you today about some most commonly used codes, one that you're going to see, we feel that you're going to see quite often. We are going to go through about 22 codes today. Again, we're going to break these up into sections to try not to overwhelm you. So let's talk about some of the good ones right off the bat. Number 10. Let's say I am an excavator and I'm going to repair a water service. And in the front yard, I've pre-marked my area and asked for the area to be located in the front of the property. I show up to excavator, I check the positive response system. I have a code 10 from communications, from electricity, because that is a no conflict, meaning I'm going to be digging in the front, their stuff was in the back. So I get a code 10 for them, meaning no conflict, the excavation is clear for those utilities. And now when I say clear, folks, I want you to understand this is clear that the what the utilities mark. We're not going to be talking about anything, any private utilities, like private water, anything like that. Again, it's anything that the utilities own. So in this particular case, when we're digging out front for our water, our communications, our electricity is clear. So they have given us a code 10. On our ticket now, the gas company has showed up. Again, now these guys are not in the front. They are in the front. So now they have marked their gas and we have alongside service in this particular dig area now. So now you see a code 20, meaning marked. It's painted and flagged. It's been located out on the job site, which is good. We're ready to go at this point. So when you check the positive response system and you have all codes 10 and 20, that means that becomes your new dig start date and time. If they have actually responded to you before your dig start date and time with a code 10 or 20, that means you're marked and cleared. There's no conflict. Everything's good. Now, let's say we see a code 30, though, on our particular excavation. Now we're actually going to be working in the backyard today on this particular ticket, and we show up to do our locate, or we check in the positive response system, and now we have a code 30, which is unable to mark. What does that mean? It's a plethora of things. Could be that the gate is locked. Maybe there was a dog in the backyard. They could not, get access to the system. Perhaps the area was not pre-marked. Again, with the law changing January 1 of 25, where pre-marking is mandatory, white paint stakes or flags, good verbal extents, uploading maps. Perhaps that excavation site is unclear, so they give you a code 30, which means unable to mark. That goes back to the excavator. You need to fix the whatever is problem, whatever the code 30 was issued for, whether it is that gate that's locked and you get them access, or you get the dog out of the yard, or you go back and you pre-mark that ticket. So again, what we're looking for, what you're looking for as the excavator are all 10s and 20s. When all 10s or 20s are there, you may dig freely. Let's talk about a code 60. What is that? That is a watch and protect. That means the underground utility facility out there has a large, uh, some type of underground facility they want to protect, whether it's gas, whether it's a transite water main, whatever it is, a code 60. So what that means in our particular excavation at this point, if we look at the positive response system and we see a code 60, that means we have a watch and protect. The utility company is going to be reaching out to you and letting you know they'd like to perform a watch and protect on that site. This is in no way designed to hang you up. It's designed to work around your schedule. So they will actually reach out to you and schedule this watch and protect. These watch and protects are a good thing, folks. If you've not done one of these things, they're not there to babysit you at all. They just want to literally watch and protect over that utility. Whether it be the coating that they're looking for, again, a transite main with that they need to make sure that the coating stays intact. That's what watch and protects are for. Please do not dig prior to a watch and protect. Again, those are for your safety. There's a reason they want to be there. Let's look at a code 90. Code 90 is excavation completed prior to dig start date and time. Now, if you are a member on the call, member locator, and you show up and the excavator has completed the dig start date and time, prior to that, they've completed their excavation, that's where the code 90 comes in. On our, why would we see a code 90? Definition of an emergency is life, health, property, utility service outage. Perhaps that utility had to dig before that 2 hours, so they had to complete that excavation. That would be a code 90. If you're a locator and you show up and an excavator has already completed the work, again, prior to the dig start date and time, is a code 90. Now, I would not be doing my job as a damage prevention manager if I didn't tell everybody on the call, please do not jump your dig start date and time prior to having locating marks, because yes, that is a big red flag for anybody that's not looking to have a conversation with the Illinois Commerce Commission. So please do not excavate before that dig start date and time. But if in that particular case, if it does happen, that's what a code 90 is for. So again, as we start to get deeper into these codes, the 10s and the 20s, folks, that's the ones, if everybody has responded with a 10 and a 20, that's when you can excavate at any point once they have gone through that positive response system and you have verified through the positive response system that you have 10s and 20s. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Any questions?
Questions on this slide, on these commonly used slides here before we go just a little bit deeper?
And I'd like to point out, how would you know that everybody did the 1020 early unless you're checking on a regular basis. If you provided an email on your ticket, once that last facility owner has provided a 10 or a 20, and everybody else on the ticket did the same, you're going to get an email from Julie saying, here's your new dig start. So again, email is going to be critical. That's how we're going to communicate. So from that, we're going to move on to Roger and talk about some alternate agreement codes.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Oh, we had a great question there real quick, guys. If we get a code 90, are we able to dispute it as an excavator?
Uh, sure.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you have the ability as an excavator to dispute any code. The law says all the codes that are provided are supposed to be appropriate and accurate. So if you have information to the contrary, yes, you have the ability to push back. And you're probably going to have to. That's a good question. We haven't actually had that one to know how it's going to have to be handled. You're probably going to have to call in, have the ticket retransmitted, and provide your rebuttal information in the comments section when you have that ticket retransmitted, and then that would go out to all the facility owners and operators.
Yeah, I would recommend you call in and ask the operator to put in the remarks, excavation has not begun. Please have this ticket marked by the original dig start date and time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Roger.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and jump on these
Roger,
alternate agreement.
we've lost your audio is really, really muted.
Okay.
Talk louder.
I've got it all 100% here, so
You're good enough now.
all right. So let me try this again. I'll lean in closer to the microphone this time. All right, alternate 50. A 50 code. That is actually where the actual long title of it is a locator and excavator have agreed to a documented alternate locating agreement. So what we're doing here, what we're meaning, if a utility facility owner and operator, okay, is responding to a locate request, and they are just being hammered with the amount of work in your area of excavation, meaning the county, the place, meaning the city, village, or town, or rural township. So they're really getting inundated with work. So they're going to reach out to you, and talk to you. They're going to have to either email you, call you, or talk to you face to face and say, hey, is there any way that we can agree, the two of us, to where you can give me a little more time to work on this, to get this located for you? So this can happen at any time on a 50. So they're going to reach out to you. You're going to discuss this. And if you two come to an agreement, okay, yeah, I'll give you another day or I'll give you 2 days. That is between the two of you and what you can handle and what can be done. So now you've given this agreement verbally, either verbally or you replied with an email to the locator. So now it's the locator or the facility owner and operator's responsibility through the positive response system to provide a 50 code in response to your locate request, meaning they're going to hit a 50 immediately upon them post or responding with a 50 code. You're going to receive an email, and that email is going to say, provide information that, hey, we are requesting an alternate agreement, locating agreement. Now, with that, it's going to give you the information of how they contacted you, when they contacted you, and what the new agreement was. So now with that, you have, based on that email you receive, you have the ability to accept that agreement or to deny that agreement. Decline. Actually, it's decline, not deny. Decline. Accept or decline. Now, if you've already agreed to it verbally, there's really no reason to hit the decline, but you would hit the accept unless some of the information provided on the email you received from the Julie positive response system was not what you agreed to with the locator. Okay, so now it was the same, all the information was the same, it was agreed to. So now you hit the accept. So now that goes back into the Julie system. It does not actually change the dig start date and time through the system. What happens is that email is both the facility owner and operator's documentation and your documentation about what that new dig start date and time is, what you've agreed to, the additional time you've provided. Now, once they go out there and they get it located, they have to provide a 20 code. Like Brian said, that's a final code. This is an interim code. So the 50 is just there to get you that agreement. So now they have a day or two, whatever you agree to, extra to locate. So now within that time period, excuse me, they need to go out there and get that physically marked, or they could get to the site and find out they're all clear based upon the pre-marking. So now they get there and they either have to provide that 10 code, which is all clear, or 20 code, which is marked. That would be their final code. So every code that we're talking about today has to end up with a 10 or 20 as a final until we get into the joint meets and planning designs. Those are not using a 10 and 20. All right, so that gets us through the 50 pretty much. So that's the information there. You'll if you ever run into that, you'll receive that 50 code, you'll receive that email afterwards, and it'll provide all that information on what you agreed to. 51. Now this is it. We took about 6 or 7 definitions in the new legislation that took effect January of 25 to put some parameters around this beyond reasonable control, and we did that. So the software that we've developed this year has now taken this into account. So I can spend a 75 minutes, 90 minutes explaining all these different definitions and calculations and algorithms to you if you want. But really, I think what I want to do is just tell you and explain to you that what this really is okay. I have to provide some information to you so you know there's qualifiers. Okay, there are qualifiers to this, and dang it, here it is. Okay, with excuse me, with that, it's going to depend on the county the work is taking place. Then it's going to depend on the place the work is taking, is located in, meaning the city, village, or town, or the rural township. So now we know where where the excavation is taking place. Now we know the dig start date and time that you've listed on your locate requests. So those parameters are all very important about the qualifications of a beyond reasonable control. There's one more, and that is the project owner. If you've submitted a locate request so far this year, you know this, that you have to provide the project owner on the locate request. It used to be, if you do remote ticket entry, it used to be the done for field. Well, that is actually the project owner. You click in that box, it'll drop down. If you click member, it'll drop down a listing of all the members in that place, okay, in that political subdivision that you're going to propose to work in, and you have to select the appropriate one from that list. So now if that work is being done for a Julie member, okay, you've now listed that Julie member on there. So now you could see on the bottom of your locate request that you get, you'll see a BRC equals. All right, just the capital B, capital R, capital C equals. If you've seen a locate request this year, you've seen that on the bottom of the ticket or locate request. And let me tell you, there's 4 possibilities of after the equals. One will be NA, meaning not applicable. Just basically means the county the work is taking place in is not beyond the reasonable control of a facility owner and operator to locate within the minimum amount of advance notice of 2 days. That's really what that means. The BRC of equals ineligible. All right, that really means that the work that is being done for it could be done for IDOT. It could be done for other, meaning maybe it's a hospital, university that's not a Julie member. We have a lot of hospitals, we have a lot of universities, we have a lot of medical facility clinics that are members of Julie. So one thing everybody needs to realize, and this is not completely being complied with right now, a lot of people are putting other as they are a subcontractor to another contractor. They're putting that contractor's name. That is not appropriate. That is not an accurate response or an answer to that question. There is a definition in the law of what a project owner is. That is the entity that is financially responsible for the excavation or the demolition project that you're working on. So I'm going to just say a municipality is the owner of that project, but you're a subcontractor of the contractor that received the bid for that work in that municipality. You don't put that contractor's name as done for. You put that municipality's name as done for. How do you know who it is? Well, you need to find that out from your contractor that you got a contract from, and then you go through the drop down. You select the appropriate response, put their name in there, and it'll apply that to the ticket. So if it is not an other, a homeowner is other. Okay, you're working for somebody that's not a Julie member. Then there is a BRC equals possible. Now, what that really means is, yes, all the criteria that is in the background for this beyond reasonable control has been met or exceeded. So then that means the facility owners and operators do have the ability to request from you, the excavator, up to 2 additional days to locate out their facilities within that proposed project area. Okay, so what happens is if they click the 51 code in the system, positive response system, it's automatically going to send an email to you, Mr. Excavator. Now they have to, there is a policy that was written by Julie, and it was approved by the board of directors. And what it really says is it puts timelines on when the request has to be made by, when the response has to be made by. And it also goes on to say that if you are working, you, Mr. Excavator, are working for a Julie member, you are going to accept that request for additional time for the beyond reasonable control. And it actually, the wording in here, it actually says the contractor, subcontractor will, comma, in most cases, and for the good of Illinois damage prevention, accept the request. Okay, so we know it's a member on a member. Members are locating, members are excavating. We're asking, hey, if I need more time as a locator to locate this out, you are going to request, you are going to comply with the policy and provide, accept that request for additional time. Now, you receive that request. You can, here again, it's going to be by email. And like Brian and David both said, you have to have a good email address on your locate request. That's the only way you are going to receive these notices. Now that email comes to you, and it's going to go through the information and say, hey, this is a beyond reasonable control area. We are requesting up to 2 additional days advance notice from you to complete our work. You have the ability to accept or decline that request. Now, if you decline it, you are going to be required to provide a reason as to why. Okay, it's a required comment. You can't just hit accept, deny, and it goes away. You have to provide a reason as to why you said you denied that request. Okay, so you have to do that. And just because you don't want to, all this information is documented in the Julie system, and we keep it for 5 years from the expiration of that locate request. So if a claim would ever come up about it, believe me, we're going to be requested to provide information to the enforcement agency, which is the Illinois Commerce Commission One Call Enforcement. If we're requested, we will provide. So if they request it and that's your response, that's not going to look real good on your behalf for that. You need to provide a justification as to why you cannot accept that additional advance notice. And there's one more. We do have some examples here, but let me provide this one other possible BRC that you might see on your ticket, and it's a BRC equals extended. What that means is during the locate process, the excavator has already provided 4 days advance notice on the locate request. Now, by doing that, the 51 code, whenever the facility owners and operators go to try to provide a response or to see if they can even get more time on the 51, it's not even available for them to use. So if you want to provide the additional time up front and avoid any contact because of the 51 beyond reasonable control, you can provide up to 4 days advance notice during the ticket entry process. Then that negates that 51. So did you want to show some examples there, Dave? Boy, got tickled today.
I'm trying to get it to do its thing here. There we go. I think it's working. Bear with me. Yay, there we go. So these aren't, we're not expecting necessarily to be able to see these well enough to read per se, but these are some samples of what you might see. And you can see the accept decline button on there at, for code 51 or code 50. And these are the emails that you might be looking at. So these
Dave,
are on the website as well.
Yeah, you might want to mention if you go to our website on the homepage, scroll down pretty much to the close to the bottom, you'll see a kind of a vertical panel. Oh, thanks, Dave. Going to show them right here. You'll see the positive response section right there.
Right here.
Right here, you could click on that button. It takes you to a new page. Now you have all information known about positive response. So if you want to see emails, these sample emails, there's two forms of them. One is for members. Okay, that's what you can see as what you're sending. One is for the excavators on what you're going to see in a result. Not that they're different. It's just there's more for the members to see what they might see. The excavators, you might see a couple different options on the emails. But that's good information to have, and thanks for bringing that up, Dave.
And you can also come back to this page anytime. Notice on the left right here, select from webinars below. This webinar will be posted here eventually as well. So
okay, thanks, Dave. So with that, I think I pretty much got through the 51. Now you'll see down in the lower part of this screen, we have the 850, 851, 950, 951. I'm going to touch on those in just a minute. I want to go ahead and go through the 52. So let's say we already talked about the 50, where the facility owner and operator or their locator has reached out to you, the excavator, and has requested time. You'd only use the 50 if you two agree on that extension, that new locate agreement. Now the 52 is basically neither party can come to an agreement. Okay, they're maybe requesting 2 days. You as the excavator said no. I can give you a few hours tomorrow morning to finish it out. That's it. Well, they say no, I need 2 days. You cannot come to an agreement. You cannot. In good faith effort, the law says both parties are supposed to work in a good faith effort if additional time is needed on a locate request. So if you can't come to an agreement in this fact, that facility owner or operator has no choice but to provide a code 52. He knows he's not going to have that located by the valid dig start date. And of course, the time on every locate request going forward after January 1 is basically 1 second after midnight of the day it's valid. So in this respect, they can't come to that agreement. They know they're not going to have it located. So they're going to submit a 52. And in that 52, they have to provide comments. They're going to provide a comment that they reached out to XYZ excavator, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, whatever the last name would be. And they spoke to him, but no agreement could be reached. But really what this means is, besides the no agreement reached, they're also telling you that it's not going to be located. Because they already told you, I need more time. I can't get it located by the valid dig start date and time. So they're kind of already setting you up, saying, hey, I can't get this located. I will not be able to get this located prior to that date and time. So you will receive an email copy of that, just notifying you of that. There's no accept or decline. They're just sending that to you. Here it is. We didn't come to an agreement. We're just notifying you it's not going to be located. So there you go. All right. So that's kind of what a 52 is. Okay. They tried to request maybe a 50 and you denied it. And now they're having to respond because they cannot get it done by the legal dig start date and time. So now that doesn't alleviate them from not marking or responding at all. No, they have to respond in a prudent manner and get it located. So now whenever they do get to the site, they do locate it, they have to provide a 20 code. That closes that out. Or a 10. They get there, they find out, oh, wow, well, based on this, they're clear. So I don't have to, they have to provide a 10 or a 20 code. All three of these, 50, 51, 52, are intermediate responses. They have to finish up with a final response of a 10 or 20. That is the only way that that ticket's completely closed out and you, the excavator, know that they have a final response of a 10 or 20. All right. So that kind of gets through those three. And it is very complicated. I apologize for that, but they're not an easy 10, 20 explanation. Okay. It takes a lot of information to discuss those. But now if we just look at the bottom part of this page, the 850, this is a system generated code, meaning if you receive that 50, that email about a code 50, and you accept it because you've already talked to the facility owner operator, the locator, and said, yep, I'll give you that additional time you're asking for. So the system, once you hit that accept button on that email that you're going to get, the system automatically generates an 850. Now that 850 just tells everybody it's accepted. That's basically what it is. And now they still have to end up with a 10 or 20 even after that 850 is there. All that is a notification. It's an intermediate code. Now, if you decline the 50, okay, maybe the information put in the email was not really what you thought you agreed to. Well, now you do have that ability, like I said, to decline it. And if you do decline it, then the system generates this 851, meaning you declined that code 50. So I'm sure there'll be further communications between the two of you if that happens, because somebody might have just typed something in wrong. Accidents happen. Okay. So that might be it. So now you might see after that decline 50, you might see a code 52 pop up. Hey, no agreement was reached. It's not located. I'm just telling you, I needed more time, didn't get more time. It's not going to be located by the valid dig start date and time. But then they still have to final that ticket out with a 10 or 20. A 950 and a 951. 950 means this is talking about the beyond reasonable control, the code 51. I accepted it. Okay, I received that request from the system. The facility owner and operator hit that button, that respond button, and it went to you, Mr. Excavator. You see it. Yeah, okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you because I'm working for a Julie member. I understand we got a lot of work going on in this area. So, yeah, okay. I'm going to accept that. I'm going to comply with the policy. So here you go. The system is going to send out a 950. So now that 950 means you accepted the beyond reasonable control, the additional time. And then now they still have to finish that out and locate that out and provide either a 20 code, meaning that's marked, or a 10 code, they provided an all clear. And a 951 is they declined it. You, Mr. Excavator, you decline that request for additional time. You have to provide a response if you hit the decline. And here again, like I mentioned it earlier, you have to provide a legitimate reason why you can't provide that additional time. All right, so you provide that additional time, you hit the decline, and then it goes into the system on the 51. Okay, the 51, they sent that to you. You cannot accept any additional time. You declined it. You provided a reason why. You hit the decline button. It goes back in. Now the system generates out this 951. So here again, you might see another response added to that locate request to where you're going to receive another email on a 52, meaning me, the member, hey, I tried to get this additional time. It's a very busy area. I needed the additional time. You did not give it to me. So I'm telling you, there's no agreement reached on additional time. Plus, it's not going to be located by the valid dig start date and time. That's what that code 52 is. Now they have to locate it, and they have to provide that 10 or 20 to final out that code. So you just have to understand there could be multiple responses for every single ticket you get. And it's all based upon the reasoning. We're going to talk about joint meets and planning designs here in a little bit, and then we're going to talk about some other codes. And you're going to see how some of these could be layered, like what some Brian talked about. If you had a 30, hey, I can't get access to the site. You may have a 30 code. And you have the facility owner, operator, locator had to provide a reason why they couldn't get access. Now, in that, that's a intermediate code. Their final code has got to be a 10 or 20. Okay, so that's, you may see multiple responses on a locate request. But just remember, all responses are going to be emailed. All information is going to go email to you, Mr. Excavator, and the facility owners and operators have to provide all this information, and it's all going to be documented and housed at Julie. And there was one more thing I was going to add, and I just forgot what it was, so I apologize for that. If I remember it, I'll pop back on and mention what it was later. So that's really all I had on these, Dave, unless you have a question.
No, we do have a couple open questions. Brian, you want to speak to that code 30?
Great. Yeah, fantastic question. Sewer running down the middle of the street, got a lot of heavy rain out there, unable to mark due to the weather on the road at that particular time. What should I put in? I'm going to instruct you to put a code 30 because you're unable to complete the locate at the time, and you're going to put in there that it is in the comment section. Again, as an intermediate code that once the rain quits, I'll be out to locate that mark or I'll be out to locate it to give you a 20 in that particular case. So a 51 would, that's not the, 51 is not the code for that one. That's a 51 code would be for a BRC.
Now, keep in mind the 30 code, you only need to get that in there if you suspect the rain's going to last for the 2 days that you have to legally mark, right? If it's raining today, the ticket's due, today's Thursday, it's due on Saturday or Monday, whatever, and there's not supposed to be any rain tomorrow, then I wouldn't put a code in at all. I'd go out there tomorrow and mark it. You follow?
Yep.
So the 30 code is only because I'm not going to be able to accommodate this by the date and time required on the ticket. So that 30 is giving the excavator a heads up. Hey, I can't mark it right now, and here's why. But that is a valid response at 30 if there's rain and it's coming up at the deadline of that ticket, and you're just not going to be able to put paint on the ground. It's a hard surface. The paint won't stick. So good question. We got another one. If they put a 52 in, Roger, and I'll kind of throw this back at you. I have my opinions. We'll see what yours are. They throw a 52 on there, even though we told them, no, you need to have this marked by the date and time of the ticket. And at that time, can we throw in the no-show? My opinion is you could throw in a no-show after the valid dig start date and time, even though you've been told they're not going to be able to keep up with you. You could legally put a no-show in at that time, but you can't do it when you get the 52. You can do it when you get past the valid dig start date and time on the notice, because the no-show is not valid until that dig start date and time has come. What are your thoughts on that, Roger?
Yeah, that's something I didn't mention on any of these 50, 51, that they have to be done. The timing has to be requested. And I don't even know if I went through the timing process on the 51. I should go back and do that. But a 50 and 51, they have to request that prior to the valid dig start date and time. They have to. That because if it's after the fact, exactly what your question is, that would be if they don't do it prior to the dig start date and time, they were non-responsive. So you would probably at that point in time you would want to go down the road of the no shows. Now, if let's just say they did reach out to you and either the 50 or 51, and you declined it. Now they did provide a response, okay, as far as the law goes, prior to the valid dig start date and time. So 50, your dig start date and time comes, you really can't take the information provided on the positive response system. You're going to have to go to the site at that point when they did that and you declined it. You're going to have to go there and visually observe that there were no marks provided before you submit a no-show, because they did actually provide a response prior to the valid dig start date and time. Doesn't mean that all responses have to be 10s or 20s. Okay, so that's my take on it. You would have to go to the site, visually observe there were no marks by that utility company. Then you could submit a no-show for that company for not marking by the valid dig start date and time. But there are, I don't know if I didn't mention, did I, Dave, the timelines on the 51?
Yeah, that just because we're getting short on time, Roger, that's on the web link. You can look at that. There's the board has approved timeline requirements. In other words, a utility owner can't go in technically at 11:30 p.m. when the ticket's literally due in 30 minutes and 1 second and put on their request for 2-day extension on it. That's not valid. So they have to ask that within the first day, the first
By
day
noon.
after the
Yes.
request. They have to go in there and request that. So there are some timelines on there. If we have time at the end, we'll definitely touch on those. But in the interest of moving on to the rest of the codes, real quick question: is there a code to use in the area of a locate is unclear and there's not physical pre-marks? Absolutely, that would be a code 30. And your comments would be on clear marking instructions, and that would be transmitted to the excavator, and they would have to call back into Julie when they have that situation corrected, and the ticket would come back out to you. What if the excavator did not get a permit to dig in the right of way, but calls in a Julie locate request? The law mandates you respond to a locate request by the dig start date and time. Now, if you hold the permit authority, you can prevent him from working. You cannot not mark. You are in violation of law. So if you get a locate request and there's no permit, I'd be calling him right away and tell him to cancel his locate request. Now you're off the hook and don't have to paint. But you can't just say, well, he ain't got a permit, so we're not going to mark. I can call in a no-show. I can report that to the state. You can be fined for not locating. Doesn't matter. I don't have a permit. Law doesn't cover permits. So as a facility operator that has permit authority, just remember that your permit is irrelevant to the one call law. So you need to absolutely accomplish your locates unless you can get him to cancel the ticket prior to the dig start date and time. Hopefully that helps everybody. Thank you, Roger.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
So moving on to the next one. This is me. I get to do this. So these are Roger just finished with the 850, 851, 950, 951 that are system generated codes based on parameters within the different type of request or things like that. These are also system generated codes. So for those that do larger projects, in a lot of cases, you're used to calling in extensions. In other words, I need to get more time on my site. I'm not going to have it done within the 25-day legal limit within a locate request. When I make that request for an extension for time, I can ask to have the site painted. That's fine. Then the facility owners would have to put in that 10 or 20 when they get done with it. If I say I need more time, but the paint's fine, don't bother coming back out, guys, we're good to go. If that's the case, there is no requirement that the facility owners respond. The system will automatically code that ticket as 21. Remark not needed. So utility owners have no obligation to get into our system and close that ticket out. It's done. Okay. Damages or exposed. The law does require if you damage or expose an unmarked facility, you are required to notify Julie, the owner of that facility. And of course, if there's anything leaking to go boom, burn, or hurt somebody, 911. So that hasn't changed. It's always been in the law. What a lot of people I think are unfamiliar with is that damage or exposed ticket. It's a notification to the facility owners in the area. It is not a requirement that they come to the job site at all. If you want them to the job site, you need to express that to the call center when you're talking about that damage or exposure and ask them to send facility owners back to the site. So just saying I damaged or I exposed a line doesn't require a physical response from the facility owner. So the system will automatically code that as a 23. Ticket's done, complete, no other action required. If, like we talked about, they don't have a permit, call the excavator, convince them to cancel this ticket. When they call into Julie, and only the excavator can cancel their request, they call into Julie, say, I need to cancel this request, got to work on some permit issues, whatever the case may be. That's fine. The system will send that out to all the members, letting them know that job's been canceled, but they don't have to respond to that ticket any longer. The system codes it as a 40. Done. And then the last one, which if you go in today and look at your ticket on our system, you're going to see this all over the place because nobody's required by law to do anything right now. 999, it's a late final response. That's it. It doesn't mean the facility owner didn't locate. It doesn't mean they didn't put an all clear flag. It just means they haven't responded to our positive response system by the required time on that notice. Okay. So even after January 1st, 2026, if you were to see a 999, don't call a no-show in for that company. You need to drive out there and see. They could have literally just not been able to get back to the computer in time to close it out. Who knows? So a 999 is not professing anything about what the member did or did not accomplish other than they didn't put a code on the system. That's it. That's all it's saying. So you can't use a 999 as a no-show request. It doesn't mean that. It just means they didn't hit a computer button. So again, these are system generated. This is saving the facility owner time and energy on a ticket that has no requirement for them to do anything. Now, when they do get a 999, that is a request for them to go in and close that ticket out on the server. So they are getting notified about that, and that's fine. That also applies, by the way, on emergencies. An hour after the emergency was due, they could get a 999 code if they haven't closed it out yet. And there are parameters in the law that allow for a longer period of time, but the system, just to have a deadline, will hit them at 1 hour. I don't see any questions on these. Again, system generated, they're automatic. There's nothing the facility owner or the excavator has to do in response to these codes on a ticket. All right, we will move on to our next damage prevention manager, Lucy.
All right. So joint meet and design. So for those of you that are requesting or will be participating in joint meets, these are the 4 possible codes that you will come across. The first one is joint 70, right, which is joint meet accepted, meaning that a facility owner operator has received your joint meet request and has accepted and will attend the joint meet at the date and time requested. Okay, but what if you a facility owner operator gives you a 71 to your joint meet request? Well, the facility owner operator will put the 71, and they should be reaching out to you to let you know to coordinate prior to the joint meet, to coordinate or schedule a different time. It could be maybe they could meet with you an hour earlier, afterward, or an hour afterwards, or this would be a great opportunity to discuss a virtual joint meet if it's possible to discuss an alternate joint meet appointment or meet. After the joint meet is complete, then you will see that the facility owner operators will go ahead and give a 72. Now, with this being said, some members, right, after the joint meet is complete, they might give you a 72 right there from their trucks. While some other members may just hold off, right, until the joint meet documentation is uploaded, meaning the sheet where the schedules are discussed, who was in attendance, and what have you. They may wait till that is complete, and then they'll give you the 72. Okay. Now, what happens on the very odd occasion where you requested a joint meet for Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. and you probably get tied up and you realize it's Wednesday and it's 10:15 a.m. Now what? Well, the members who did attend or who were there at the site for the joint meet will give a 73. At that point, meaning that the excavator was absent from the joint meet, at that point, what you would do is call Julie and reference your original joint meet number, advise the operator that you missed a joint meet and you want to reschedule or request a joint meet. The reason you want to reference the original joint meet number is because it would just facilitate when you are requesting the new joint meet. You will want to let them know, what have you. You will have to give an additional 2-day advance notice for the new joint meet as well. So at this point, you want to make sure you make, you don't want to miss, again, you don't want to have that mishap again and you miss your joint meet. All right, and then for plan design, for those who are going to do or participate in the plan design ticket, really simple. If the facility owner operator just gives you an 80, meaning that he or she has provided documentation, either through maps, emails, what have you, they will give you an 80. If the facility owner operator decides to just go ahead and out and mark the site, right, or the plan design ticket, they're gonna indicate an 81. Okay. With that being said, if you realize that you are going to start requesting a lot more joint meets, or you're going to be more active in the joint meet world, please sign up. At the end of the presentation, there'll be more information regarding some joint meet trainings where you yourself can request joint meets, and also later on in the, I want to say, late summer, early fall, we're also going to start kicking off some additional training for those who want to participate or are going to be more actively engaged in requesting planning and design tickets. But again, that information will be coming towards the end of the presentation. At this time, I'm open for any questions if we do have any for the joint meat and design codes. If not, I'll gladly turn it over to, it looks like it would be Dave.
Yeah, I don't have any questions right now, but just a reminder, Lucy did mention it, but I will point it out one more time. Joint meats, you can get training to go through joint meat process online. There's some requirements ahead of that, but it is available. The program to do design requests online without having to phone into Julie is being developed as we speak. Again, late summer, early fall, we'll be releasing that. As far as if you are a plan design person, if you're somebody who's done those by calling into Julie or having one of us assist, whatever the case may be, uh, you don't need to reach out and ask us when it's available because we will be going to everybody who's done a design this year and reaching directly out to you saying, hey, training is available. Would you like to sign up for this? So watch for those emails. We're going to be utilizing the emails that were on your design request, your company email that you provided at the time of the request. But that's how we'll be notifying people that the design training is now available. You'll be able to enter your own request on the design without having to phone in. The joint meet is already available. I will go to the next page here. I hope. There we go. So we'll get into some other links and things that are available here now. We've got just a few minutes left. We'll touch on some of these. First off, get access to the system. Go to the website. We'll talk about that in a second. You need to be credentialed to put positive response codes in. If you're going to be utilizing a third-party software to communicate with Julie for these codes, that requires an API. You do need to request that API. As far as putting response codes in manually, a credentialed user, you will have to get that approved by your Julie coordinator. But there's a link. You can click on that. If you're not the coordinator, don't worry about it if you don't know who it is. When you request those credentials, we're going to go to the coordinator and ask him, is it okay to give Billy or Sue access to do this? Same thing with the API. You need to get permission to utilize that. For those that use contractors for part of your work, for locating, whether it's traffic control, whether it's your street lights, whether it's 100% of your infrastructure, doesn't matter. You are going to have to work out with them on what credentials are going to be required for them to close the ticket out on your behalf. So just the fact that you contracted to, Susie's locating service doesn't give Susie permission to close your ticket. Okay, so we'll have to talk about that. There are codes that you've seen on every slide, that little document that was too small to read, but it is on the website. It's a beautiful thing to read out. There's also the training sheet, which gives an explanation of everything that we basically gave you today. Once the system is live, go in and get familiar with it. So again, you're not mandated to provide responses till January 26th. But if you get an email next month sometime saying, hey, it's good to go, have fun, go in there and learn the system. If you are interested in having one of the damage prevention managers either come to your site or even go through Teams or Zoom or whatever to provide training on that once it's available, we're happy to do that for you, but you need to get credentials beforehand. We can't fake it. We have to have you log in to show you how it works. So that's just something so start thinking about that now, of getting credentialed now, not, in December 8th kind of thing. We also have additional courses and webinars on the site. I already showed you that on the main page. Reach out to the Julie staff for technical questions. Again, credentialing, API, anything like that. Member info@juliewon'tcall.com. Any other questions, just generically, go to info@illinois1.com. That goes to a dump box, but Brian actually is the person who digs into that and everything else, and he gets that to whoever's wheelhouse that is to get you the answers you need on that. We will be having, for members of Julie, we are going to be having fall member workshops. Again, keep watching for emails about that. They do go to the coordinator, so let the coordinator know you'd be interested in going. If you're not sure who the coordinator is, reach out to one of us. We can help you with that information. The QR code, again, takes you to that same web page I had already showed you. And we can open that back up if need be, but we are coming towards the end of our process here today. I'm going to click. We've got one other question here. It looks like Roger and Paula are typing answers. Wow, you're getting the golden shovel award here.
Hey, Dave, you
And
want to
that,
talk about if the members do log into this positive response system and they start to see 999, don't freak out yet? You want to explain that one?
yeah, exactly. So the the website's actually available today. You can go in and look at it. Uh, but don't, again, to Brian's point, every one of your responses are currently going to be 999 because you haven't provided a code. That's not a problem today. We are currently suppressing all 999 emails. Otherwise, you'd be getting them on every ticket, right? So we're suppressing that right now because there's no mandatory requirement that you respond. Okay. But again, we have some members that got onto the website day one and they're already closing tickets out on the website. That's their choice. And that's what, for those that excavate that are on with us today, that's my point about this being a hybrid year. You are absolutely going to want to go in and check both, the site itself, see if they got a response. But before calling into Julie with a no-show or incomplete, you're going to want to check that positive response site. By the way, to go in and look at my ticket, I don't need any credentials. I don't need anything. All I need to do is punch a dig number in on the site. It'll show me the ticket. And for those excavators who may not be that familiar or even bothered to look yet, one of the cool things about that is, right now you call into Julie, you get a dig ticket. I tell you that the city of X is going to be notified. Fine. Well, a lot of cases we assume the city. Well, they probably have streetlights, water, sewer, storm sewer. I'm a happy camper. Well, who knows? Maybe they also have fiber, traffic control. You don't know. The cool part about putting your dig number in on the website, it'll show you. If you see that city listed 7 times, it means they have 7 uniquely identified facility types of infrastructure that they're required to respond to on that ticket. For the members on with us right now, this is going to be coming out in some newsletters and everything moving forward. Later this year, if you have multiple facility types, and let's say your water and sanitary are mirrored essentially 99%. In other words, if I got water on Main Street, I got sewer on Main Street. Fine. That's not an issue. But if you own streetlights in just this one little subdivision over in a corner of town, do you really want to have to close out every ticket for streetlights? We could work with you to get that streetlight under a completely separate database. So when somebody calls in a ticket in that subdivision, you'd have water, sewer, streetlight. Somebody calls in a ticket in a subdivision on the other side of town, you'd have water, sewer, no streetlight requirement to respond. So those are some things to watch for later this year that we're going to be letting everybody know. We're happy to work with you to separate out your facility infrastructure types so that every ticket doesn't have 5 response requirements for your city. One intersection might require 5, the next intersection requires 3. You just don't know. So we can work with you on that. So keep your eyes open for that kind of stuff. But to your point, Brian, right? 999s, every ticket currently has 999s for almost every member. We have a few that are actually coding out today, even though it's not required. So take a look at the website. Brian did put a response and showed a link to the website on there, which it's going to right now. Again, this is the page we looked at a minute ago. So the simple page for the codes right here. This is the one that's been on every slide we looked at. And there is, as you go down through here, complete this form if you want the API. Manually enter responses by logging into the system here. Need a username and password to do that. Use this form to request that. Here's click for an explanation of the codes and their uses. This is kind of what we use as our cheat sheet today to give you the explanations we provided you on each one of those codes. So it's a little deeper dive than the single page. So there's just a ton of information here, folks. You want to check the status of a locate request. This is the one that works for basically anybody at any time. I can go in there and put in a dig number, and I'm just guessing right here now, guys. I have no idea if that's even going to be a valid ticket. I'm literally just spitballing. No matching records. Of course, there's not. Yeah, so obviously I'm doing something wrong here. So I don't have a dig number that's going to work. Yeah, so, but if you add your dig number and you typed it in here, what you would see below here is a brief description of the ticket, all the members that are attached on that ticket. Anybody on, Paula, could you give me a real dig number I could look at real quick?
Give me just a second here. I wasn't prepared for that. So
Yeah, well, I know. I'd like to throw you under the bus anytime I can.
bear with me.
Roger's typing an answer to this, but I'll go to answer it live while Paula finds this. If I separate out my facility types, will I end up with a different office code or CDC code on those? Yes. So long as we, Julie, are transmitting all codes to a single email address, it's at no additional cost. If you want me to send the streetlight ticket to the streetlight guy and send the water ticket to the water guy, then yes, if those are different email addresses, you're going to be charged multiple times. Got one, Paula?
Yeah, so give this one a whirl. So it's X251 760 269.
Okay, well, if it would type, that would be awesome. Okay,
Try again?
sorry.
Yep, X251 760 269.
Good.
All right, so you can see here, this gives me the dig number, the Highway 7, cross street, the company, and when it needs to be located by. So here I have AT&T Distribution, it's a communication company, electric company ComEd, Comcast Communication. Look at this, Lockport City of sanitary sewer, street lighting, storm sewer, and water. So you see, now I know what Lockport's required to respond to on my request. I mean, so it's kind of handy if you're an excavator. And then I got MCI, Verizon Communication, Nicor Gas for gas. Now, if the facility owners provided a response, it would be down here for you. If you had an attachment on your ticket, you could see it right there. The facility owners are allowed, not required. They can also put attachments in their response. If they want to show pictures of the locate, they can do that. Okay. I have credentials. Where do I go to log in? Backing up.
Paula's answering that, but if you want to show it, but there's
Oh,
also
okay.
another,
Yeah.
there's another question that was pretty good. I think it would benefit to any excavator on the system to have it a live answer. And the question was, as an excavator, will I be able to have an account like I do with Julie Ticket Entry, so that I am able to see all my tickets in one spot without having to type in the dig number each time I want to check out a ticket?
Brian, you wanted to run with that one? Says he did.
Well, I think he just wanted.
Oh, you guys are answering it live. I'm sorry. I just
we were doing it.
Well, I see in here that you wanted to answer that question live. The excavator, can I have a place to just go and see all of my tickets with my positive responses? I don't believe so. Is that accurate,
I don't
Paula?
have the answer to that. I answered live so we could answer it together. I apologize. Paula, I don't think that is a possibility. I think that's just that one.
That's correct. Yeah, you have to look at each individual ticket. So there's a few different ways you can do it. Just like Dave has showed, you can type the dig number in there. If you are one of those excavators that receive an electronic copy of your dig locate request, if the operator asks you, or even you as an RTE user, if you want that email copy sent to you, at the very bottom of that email, you're going to have a link. If you click that link, it's going to take you to that positive response area too. You're going to see it'll say positive response display, so you can view it there as well. So you either have to manually enter it in, or like I said, if you get that email copy of the ticket, you can click the link and it'll still take you to that area.
And something to remember, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, it's an excellent request. This is new. Everything's developed within the last 7 months, right? So I would not be surprised within coming time, I don't know, year or so, that would be available. But as of today, unfortunately, it is not. And for the members closing out tickets, once you put a code on a ticket, it falls off your quote unquote homepage of where you've got to go. You'll see any ticket that has no response on it there waiting for you to do something. Once you put a response on, it's going to move over to another screen and you're back in the same boat. You're going to have to go over there, put the dig number in to find it again and put a final response. So it's right now, it's working on processes that have been available in other states. But as this progresses and matures, I absolutely expect to see some more user-friendly options come about. Again, I would highly discourage anybody from holding their breath, but it is going to progress. It is going to mature. It is going to become more user-friendly as the system progresses, without a doubt. But
Great question. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I'm right there with you. I'd love to be able to do that. One of the options I want to point out real quick, and we are past time, so anybody who feels they'd like to drop off, I fully understand that. Okay. But let me push something out real quick to everybody. This would apply on the digging side, whether you're a member or private, and the facility owner side, more so for the digging side of your member side. On your Julie tickets, especially if you're a private company that has multiple crews, hundreds of tickets a month kind of thing, environment like that and everything else. If you're doing them online, you'd have to go through Paula and her department to do this. But if you're just phoning in, you could do it yourself. I would highly encourage you to get your ISIT, your resident geek, and I say geek with all affection. If anybody's on with us that are geeks, love you. Otherwise, we'd still be Fred Flintstone, right? So get a new email address. Julie tickets at BillyBobExcavating.com. I don't care. I don't care what you call it. I mean, Julie tickets make sense. You could even go PRS, positive response system, at cityofvanwy.com, whatever you're going to do. But then you need to give anybody who would require the view of a ticket, a positive response, anything like that, they would all have access to that email. So everybody in your company who puts a ticket on the Julie system, their email on that ticket would be Julie tickets at, or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Why would I do that? Well, now if all of your crew leaders or all of your foremen, or if you're a facility owner and operator, all of your coordinators that coordinate crews and when they're going to go where and what they're going to do and everything else, I can literally open that email address. It's hundreds and hundreds of responses in there. I don't care. I go to the search button on that email. I type in my dig number and it pulls up my ticket with all the positive responses. Instant. There it is. Right. So instead of right now, if you're a work planner for a large utility and you've got 39 crews in here, you're literally going to have to go in and dig through, just like an excavator, one ticket at a time, and try to find those responses. Get one email, get it set up, and now everybody can go look at that email address and see. And the other nice thing is it's only Julie emails. I don't have the salt order or the birthday party announcement for Billy Bob, whose birthday's coming up next month, or we're getting new vehicles. They changed the logo to look like. None of that crap is in that email box. It's just responses from Julie members. It's just a suggestion, not a requirement, but that would be one way to do it. I don't see any other typed questions. Anything, any of you on with us today? Paula, you want to speak to the RTE, the joint meet, or the design that's coming up eventually, or are we?
Yeah, so I mean, if you are interested in the joint meat training, we do not put that out onto the website just to reduce any confusion for new users or anybody that is interested in the joint meat training. If you are interested in it, please email me directly. You can do memberinfo@juliewonecall.com also. But what I would do is send you an invite to it's a brief training, because you are required to be a remote ticket entry user first. We do not go into how you map the ticket, how you find the place information. This is really a condensed version of basically how to submit a joint meet online. So as a matter of fact, I do have one this afternoon at 1:30. If you're available and you want to get started with that, you're more than welcome to do that. But I will be adding more dates coming up. So yeah, my email, I think he's showing it here.
Yeah, and if you still see your screen, meet our team, about Julie, meet our team, scroll on down here, get into member services. Here's Paula Browning right here. You can actually click right there. It'll open up whatever email you're currently using, and you can generate an email to her and she can send you back information. As far as the damage prevention managers, the 4 of us are listed here. Amy, again, our boss, Vicki Meyer, which does just amazing stuff for us. We try to keep her off screen though. But anyways, I'm teasing her just because she's listening. I would like to point out really quickly, by the way, just because it's a great opportunity to do it. Lucy is also fluent in Spanish and has our PowerPoints and stuff in Spanish. Not this one. We haven't converted this, but I'm talking about our regular excavation safety training, law training, all that. So if there's a need for any Spanish language training, email Lucy. I think that we're done. I really, truly appreciate everybody taking the time to be with us today. Again, you will be receiving an email within the week that letting you know that this is available online, and you can go and watch it again or download it. For the members with us today, please keep an eye out for the email about our in-person member opportunities this fall to come around the state and see other information and things that we're doing. With that, I see no more questions. I appreciate everybody's time. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.